This is the full reaction of chlorination, okay, in which you would see in the mechanism that one by one all the hydrogens would be substituted by the chlorine, okay. So mechanism has three main steps. Number one is initiation, then number two is propagation, and then number three is termination. Initiation, propagation, and then termination, right? Okay, so you can see this in initiation. This is very important reaction. In initiation, you would see that in this step the radical is formed. It's the formation of radical, basically formation of radical, okay. Now I have chlorine molecule, that is this single bonded, single covalent bond, and I am providing UV light to this chlorine molecule. Ultimately, there would be homolytic fission. As a result of this, you would see that the two radicals are formed. Okay, so remember, in this process, you will see the radicals on your right hand side. Okay, this is the summary of the mechanism. Remember, in this step you would see the radicals on your right hand side, okay, and in the propagation step, you would see the radicals on both sides, and in termination step you would see the radicals on your left hand side. I'm going to summarize it. See this, I'm going to summarize it. In initiation, okay, in initiation, you would see the radicals on your right hand side, and in propagation, okay, you would see the radicals on both sides, and termination step, in termination step, you would see the radicals on your left hand side. So you would see, just wait. Once the radical is formed, so the chain reaction would be starting. It's called the chain reaction because you have a lot of methane molecules. It doesn't mean that if I'm going to write only one methane molecule that there is one methane. No. We have this much methane molecules. This is Avogadro's number. इतने सारे मॉलिक्यूल हैं किसके, मीथेन के. Okay, so ultimately, to save our time, to save the work, to save the place, I would be working on only one molecule of methane. So you can expect that the rest of the molecules of methane would be experiencing the same thing. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it's a chain reaction. Then the next step, that is called propagation. What would happen in propagation? In this step, the radical is going to attack. The radical is going to attack on the methane molecule. Now you can say this, okay, this is your methane, just like that. Just like that. Okay. This is your radical, right? This is your radical. So what would happen then? You people know that this is a covalent bond in which I'm going to zoom in this so that you can understand. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, see this? It's a covalent bond between carbon and hydrogen atom. It's a covalent bond between carbon and hydrogen atom. This is an electron of carbon, okay? And this is an electron of hydrogen. Remember, this is very important. That's why I'm going to give it a different color. It's very important to understand. So now what would happen? You can see this. Okay, HCl would be formed. Remember, HCl would be formed. Okay, and then it would remain the same just like that, and it's an electron of carbon. It would remain the same, and and it's an electron of carbon, and this was an electron of this was an electron of hydrogen, and this is an electron of chlorine. You can see this. You can see this. You can match the color. That what's happening over here. Again, I can say the radical is formed. This is called methyl radical. This is called methyl radical. Methyl radical. And then what the methyl radical would do, you can see this. C H H H, and this is the radical. This is an electron of carbon. Okay, it's going to react with it's going to react with chlorine molecule. It's going to react with chlorine molecule. Remember, this is an electron of chlorine, this is an electron of chlorine. It's going to react with chlorine molecule. Then obviously you can see this. You can see this. You can see this. The new bond is going to be formed between carbon and chlorine. So this was an electron of this carbon, and the new electron is this. Okay. Again, this radical is already here. Again, the radical is formed. You can see, you can see that this chlorine is attached to this carbon atom, leaving behind again the radical. So I have shown the two steps in which I want to tell you that how the chlorine is going to substitute hydrogen atom. So one hydrogen is substituted in the two steps. So if I am going to tell you that you are supposed to remove this hydrogen atom, obviously you would need two steps more. And if I ask to remove this hydrogen atom, again you would need the two steps. If I'm saying that you have to remove this hydrogen, so one by one all the hydrogens would be substituted by chlorine. In the end you would say that CCl4 would be formed. Okay, this is called propagation reaction. Now can you can you can you remove this hydrogen atom? Then I would do this, then you are supposed to match it. I'm going to give you only 1 minute. Yes, start. Then you are supposed to match.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Can you remove another hydrogen atom? I have removed the one. I have removed this hydrogen. Can you remove this?
Sir, I had a question.
Yes.
Sir, I've been asking for the video since more than 10 days. The videos of the misspelled
20th December.
20 December? What?
Date.
Date? Just a second, I'll let you know.
जल्दी करो भाई जल्दी
Yes.
फटाफट.
On 20 December, I left.
20th to 28th, I think.
Yeah, 28 to 12 Jan.
Okay, wait. फटाफट करो भाई. Then I am doing this. You are supposed to match it. फटाफट. Done? Okay, I'm doing this, you are supposed to match, okay? I'm doing this, you are supposed to match. I'm going to remove another hydrogen atom. So I'm going to take this. This is my reactant. This is my reactant, okay? This is my reactant. It's going to react with, it's going to react with, again, the chlorine radical. It's going to react with, again, the chlorine radical. Then obviously, then I'm going to zoom in this so that I can show the bond. I can say, I can show the color. I can show the color. So, electron of carbon, and this is an electron of hydrogen atom, okay? So, then H, then C. Now I'm going to make it normal. I have removed this hydrogen atom to make it simple. And obviously HCl is formed. HCl is formed in which this is an electron of chlorine. This is an electron of hydrogen atom. Leaving behind this, again the radical is formed. Once, once the radical is formed, once the radical is formed, again it would be reacting with the chlorine molecule, just like that. It would be reacting with the chlorine molecule, just like that. As a result of this, as a result of this, I can say that K, this chlorine is attached, leaving behind another radical, leaving behind another radical. Okay, this was an electron of carbon. So now another chlorine is attached. Now another chlorine is attached. Now another chlorine is attached. So in the four steps, you have removed two hydrogen atoms. You have removed two hydrogen atoms, remember. Now you can remove this hydrogen as well, then this hydrogen. Again, start. Then I'm going to do this. You're supposed to match. Fast, 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 fast. Mm-hmm. I'm also going to do this, okay? You're supposed to match. Now, this is my reactant. This is my reactant, okay? Okay, pair electron. To make it simple, now my target is this hydrogen atom, okay? My target is this hydrogen atom. Then what I'm supposed to do, this is the bond. Oh, whereby this is the bond between the carbon and hydrogen. The same color, I'm going to assign it. This is an electron of carbon. This is an electron of hydrogen. Then again, it's going to react with. Then again, it's going to react with chlorine radical. You know, it's a trend. You can set this radical, then molecule, then radical, then molecule, then radical, then molecule, then radical, then molecule. So basically, it has a particular trend. So then again, it's going to react with chlorine radical. Now, what would happen? It would remain the same. It would remain the same. It would remain the same. This would remain the same. Then HCl is formed. HCl is formed, in which you can see this is the hydrogen of this is an electron of hydrogen, and this is an electron of chlorine, leaving behind again the radical, leaving behind again the radical. Then this radical would be reacting with the chlorine molecule again chlorine molecule, okay? When it would be reacting with chlorine molecule, when it would be reacting with chlorine molecule, so you can see this, you can see this, you can see this. Again, the chlorine radical is formed. Again, the chlorine radical is formed, and the chlorine is attached over here. And the chlorine is attached over here. Now you can see this, the three chlorine atoms are attached so far. Three chlorine atoms are attached so far, basically, okay? Three chlorine atoms are attached so far. Only one hydrogen is remaining. Only one hydrogen is remaining. So this is my reactant. Again, I'm going to remove the last hydrogen atom. Again, I'm going to react it with first chlorine radical. Then I would be reacting this with the chlorine molecule. So this is the chlorine radical. And let me give the notation to an electron, to the carbon and hydrogen. This is an electron of carbon, this is an electron of hydrogen. Okay, and then what you're supposed to do, HCl would be formed again. HCl would be formed again, plus this is an electron of uh, this is an electron of hydrogen, this is an electron of chlorine. Again, what am I supposed to do? Same, same, same. This is an electron of carbon. Again, the radical is formed. I would take this radical again, okay? Then again, it would react with the chlorine molecule, okay? Radical molecule, radical molecule, radical molecule. Then in the end, again, finally, this chlorine would be attaching over here. This is the same, this is the same, this is the same, leaving behind another radical. अब बच्चा कहता है, sir, why were you saying that this is a chain reaction? Right now, the reaction has finished. नहीं 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 नहीं, it's not finished. It's not finished. You know, it's not finished. अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है. क्यों? I told you that you have 6.02 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 23 molecules of methane. इतने ज्यादा मीथेन molecules हैं you have. पहले एक, फिर दूसरा, तीसरा, then four, then fifth, then six, seven, eight, nine, 10, you know. a lot of methane molecules you have, but I want to finish this reaction. So what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I would say that termination. I want to terminate. I want to terminate the radicals. What was the main cause of this reaction? Radical, because radical is so much reactive. If you have no radical, so there would be no reaction. Remember, radical is very important basically. So finally, you can combine any two radicals. You can combine, let's suppose I'm going to combine this and this. Okay, I'm going to combine this and this. This is radical. This is also the radical. When they would be joining together, when they would be joining together, you can see, okay, this chlorine and and new bond is formed. The radical has been terminated because it has unpaired electron. It has unpaired electrons. Once they are going to make a bond with each other, so their electrons would be pairing. Their electrons would be getting paired. When the electrons are paired, so right now the reaction is finished. Khalas, khatam, khatam. Once you have finished the radical, once you have terminated the radicals, so you cannot expect that further this reaction would continue with all, like with the remaining methane molecules. Sometime you would see that examiner would be giving you ethane rather than methane. In ethane, how many hydrogens we have? Six hydrogen atoms. मतलब के मतलब के you have to substitute six hydrogen atoms. मतलब इन 12 steps. तो yes, तो वो उसी हिसाब से उसके marks होंगे. But altogether this question doesn't come frequently. Sometime you would see termination step, sometime you would see propagation step, sometime you would see initiation step. But now you can see that I was telling you when I was summarizing this, I told you that in the termination step you would see the radicals on your left hand side. In the propagation step you would see the radicals on both sides, and in the initiation step, you would see the radicals on your right hand side. So that's the summary of this free radical substitution reaction. And also, along with this chlorine, you would see frequently the examiner would be giving you the bromine as well. So the behavior of bromine is 100% the same as chlorine because they belong to the same family, that is the halogen family. They have the same number of outer electrons. Okay, they have the same number of outer electrons, and in the presence of sunlight, they both they both produce the radicals basically by the homolytic fission, that is called the equal distribution of electron. Okay, so that's it for the free radical substitution reaction. किसी का भी कोई क्वेश्चन हो तो feel free to ask. Yes, then मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ फिर.
So in the end, where did you get the trichloro, this thing? The chlorine and carbon.
यहाँ से लिया है
No.
मैंने. आपकी मर्जी है, आपकी मर्जी है, आप किसी भी दो रेडिकल्स को कंबाइन कर दो. आई एम टेकिंग राइट नाउ दिस एंड दिस रेडिकल, बट इट्स अप टू यू. Okay, let's suppose you can combine these two radicals. Okay, you can combine these two radicals. You can combine these two radicals. It's up to you. You have to remove the radical. Radical has unpaired electron. Once you are going to make a bond with each other, so it means that कि वो जो electrons unpaired थे आपने उसको pair कर दिया, and when the electrons are paired, so they would become unreactive, so they are not gonna further continue the chemical reaction. So you can say that the chain reaction के उस rhythm को, उस smoothness को you have broken down basically. So this is called like the free radical substitution reaction. Okay, बात समझ आ रही है अफसा? Okay.
So we don't add anything ourselves, right? कोई से दो
नो
and
नो, ना 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 ना, ऐसा नहीं है कोई से दो, ना 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 ना, यहीं से लेना है जो आपके सामने है, यहीं से लेना है. ओके.
Mhm.
हाँ जी. तो इतने सारे हैं रेडिकल, कोई से भी ले लो, कोई से भी ले लो यार, ये देखो। वैसे ज्यादातर मैं आपको बताऊं, ये और ये होते हैं। मतलब मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम यू विल सी इन द मार्किंग स्कीम दैट ये और ये रेडिकल आपको मिलेंगे। तो बस सही है, क्या टेंशन है, खत्म हो गई बात। ओके हो गया जी। सो repeat the repeat the free radical substitution reaction with the bromine as well. Okay, repeat the free radical substitution reaction with the bromine as well. So I'm going to write this, you are supposed to do afterwards. Okay, and then CH4 is going to react with bromine, which is in excess. So what does it mean? You can expect that all the hydrogens would be substituted by this bromine. CBr4 would be formed, leaving behind HBr. HBr, I'm going to balance this equation, okay? HBr, and this reaction is called bromination. Bromination. How many steps you would see in this? Obviously, in the initiation step, one, propagation के 8 steps, and then termination का 1 step. So the total steps are 10. But अगर मैं आपको ethane, I'm going to give you ethane, then it's going to react with chlorine. I'm going to say that this is in excess. Okay, so all of the hydrogens are substituted by this chlorine, just like that, leaving behind HCl, leaving behind HCl. Okay, तो ये है. So how many steps you can expect? How many steps you can expect? 6 hydrogens atom means that 12 steps, 1 step for initiation, 1 step for termination. So the total steps are 14. Okay जी, सिंपल है, इजी है.
जी